When preparing for battle, one would think that boot camp is a good way to train warriors. Well, why not save money and use the sport instead? Hurling is a sport that is made up of many components. After learning a bit about the sport and where it came from, I will elaborate on the team format, the equipment, the game officials, and also a few basic rules. Hurling is known for being the oldest field game in Europe as well as the fastest field game in the world. Hurling is especially popular in Ireland. The game is so old that it was first recorded being played in 1272 BC. When hurling first began, the rules were not set and there were no officials, meaning the game had the tendency to get violent. The game was so violent to begin with that not only was it a sport, but it was also a good way to train warriors for battle. Due to this discovery, the sport had been declared illegal several times. There was a point in the late 17th century where hurling had become restrained. Even with this setback, the sport reappeared towards the end of the 19th century. The sport is still extremely popular in Europe, however, it is not played as much as football is. The team format is quite basic. Each team is required to have a minimum of 15 players. Each player is designated to a specific position. The 15 positions of hurling are goalkeeping, right, center, and left fullbacks, right, center, and left halfbacks, right and left midfields, right, center, and left half forwards, and right corner, center, full, and left corner forwards. Both teams take their positions on a rectangular grass field about 137 meters long and 82 meters wide. On each end of the field, there are goals that are nearly 7 meters high. Now that you have learned a little bit about the team setup, it will be helpful if you familiarize yourself with the equipment. The equipment that is used in the sport of hurling is pretty basic equipment as well. Each player dresses in their team kit, which consists of a jersey, shorts, and socks. The tricky thing about the uniform is the fact that if both teams have similar colors, then the players are required to change into their alternative team colors. The most important part of the equipment in this game is the hurley itself. At first glance, the hurley appears to be a basic wooden stick with a rounded end at the bottom. However, the hurley is made up of ash and is available in various sizes and colors. The hurley consists of 6 main parts: the toe, the band, the heel, the boss or head, the middle of the handle, and the top of the handle. Tape is sometimes added to various parts of the handle for team representation. The second most important part of the equipment is the ball called a solitaire. The ball is small and is made up of white leather. A basic solitaire would be anywhere from 23 to 25 centimeters round and would weigh between 100 and 120 grams. Along the ball is a raised edge that stands about 2 millimeters high. The team can choose to play with other equipment as well, such as helmets and shin guards, but those pieces of equipment are optional. Before the game can begin, the players must wait for a team of 7 important members. Seeing how this game already seems complicated, it is a great idea to have a team of 7 officials present to keep things fair and under control. This team is composed of a referee, 2 linesmen, and 4 umpires. Each of these jobs require a different set of instructions. The referee is the official that is in charge of the decision making. The referee in hurling follows the same basic concepts as the linemen, or as the referees in soccer and rugby. The linesmen are there to make the referee's job a little less complicating. The linesmen are placed on either side of the field and are in charge of monitoring substitutions and watching to make sure the ball doesn't go out of play. The referee and the 2 linesmen are all dressed in black kits, whereas the 4 umpires wear white coats. 2 umpires are placed at either side of the goal on both ends of the field. The main function of these umpires is to notify the other officials, the teams, and the spectators when a team has scored. When it comes to such an aggressive sport, there are some rules that are more important than others. Some of these rules include: the ball may be hit with the hurley either on the ground or in the air. The ball may only be carried by hand for 4 steps or less. When the players attack each other for possession of the ball, at least 1 foot of the attacker must remain on the ground. As you can probably conclude, a sport such as hurling requires a long list of rules. These, however, stand out as being the most basic and important. Hurling is a sport that requires much concentration and skill. With the risk of being severely hurt, it is important that each team member is trained correctly and is wearing the proper equipment. Even though this sport is not a familiar American sport, it is still a way for individuals to express their talent. Although not as often, hurling is still played in Ireland and is a way for citizens to represent their country.